everybody. Welcome to another roundtable discussion. I'm sorry for the delay. I know we put out that we would be live a while ago, but you would not believe the technical issues we've had trying to get this sorted. If anybody has any clue why my Google Chrome will not play sound of anything, please let me know. I've checked settings, I've checked sound, I've uninstalled, I've reinstalled, I've done everything I can think of, tried all different settings, can't make it work. It's been like this for a while. And we tried to do this through Firefox and it won't install the necessary plugin. So that didn't work. I tried to do it through Internet Explorer and it wouldn't work. So I'm back on Chrome. So once again, I'm having to listen to the panelists through Discord. So we'll do our best. So thanks for your patience. So tonight we have, as panelists, we have Captain, we have Michelle, and we did have Sup, but she's not there at the moment, so I'm hoping she'll come back. Tonight we're going to, we may be joined by 2 or 3 others, Magi, Bob and Bara, depending if they get to come online at their end during the live stream. So the plan is tonight to discuss primarily the event and to get our different perspectives on what the event means, what it is it happening, has it happened, will it happen, and then to branch off into any other topics we feel it naturally leads into. Please like this video, please share if you like it, please subscribe. As normal, once the show's finished, I'll add some other links into the description, which will be links for my other YouTube channels. It will be links for the panelists' YouTube channels if they have them. So please come back and check the description. Because of the technical issues, I did have all that done before we went live, but it slipped my mind with all the technical issues. So I will do it after the show. Okay, so at the moment we have Michelle and Captain here. So the event, I'm interested to find out what they think of it. I'm being told we do have Sup, but she's not appearing on my screen. Sup, can you speak? Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, you've appeared again. You just popped up.
Magical.
Okay, great. Sup's here. See what I mean? Technical issues. I don't know what's going on. So, Sup, it's the first time you've been on one of my shows. Like the others, I know Sup really well. I'm really pleased that she's honouring me by coming on my show tonight. And Sup, just chime in when you feel like you have something to contribute. So guys, fire away. Whichever one of you wants to talk first. What are your thoughts regarding the event?
Well, I've said that I've heard the event term used for years by the UFO community, by Christians, by this new Mandela community about Ascension. I've heard it about the planet Nibiru coming. So I'm thinking you're specifically talking about Ascension here? Or is that what we're talking about today?
Well, kind of. We're discussing, you know, recently there's been loads of YouTube videos going on about this event that's supposed to be coming on. It's been talked about by Corey Good and David Wilcock. But there was a Beyond QHT practitioner, I can't remember her name, but she's been in a lot of shows recently saying from her clients, with her higher selves, many of them, have been giving a date around about the end of March or the first quarter of this year for this event to occur. So it's like a mass Ascension event, basically. So, what are your
Yes.
thoughts?
Well, I'm questioning, do you think that the Mayans said something would start happening about 2012, and other people have been talking about Nibiru? Do you think any of those things are connected? Amber.
I do. Can I just say, Captain, can you mute in Discord, please? Thank you. So, yeah, I do think they're definitely connected. I think it's all parts of the same thing. I mean, I don't know for sure whether Nibiru exists, but I think at the moment there's little reason to assume it does not exist. And if it does exist and it's a 10th planet and it's coming closer, then it stands to reason it's going to affect the solar system on Earth. So I do think it's possible Nibiru itself is possibly connected to what's happening on Earth at this time. But even if it doesn't exist, then you've got things like the energy from the galactic center, the changes in the sun. So we know that there are things affecting Earth's electromagnetic field at the moment. That's not a theory. According to NASA, that's a fact. So yeah, I do think they're all connected into this event. For me, the question is the event a long event, or is it a specific short-term event? If it's a short-term event, is it going to be happening now? Has it already happened? We don't know. Is it going to happen?
Some people think the event is a big flash, like the rapture, like Jesus coming back. They have said that it starts with a flash. For them, I think it would be somewhat a quick start, where others think it's slowly changing, body changes, Mandela effects, a slow change.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of people who've been really pinning their hope. I mean, there's a lot of people who are desperately unhappy with their lives and what's going on Earth at the moment. And a lot of those are interested and on YouTube, etc., looking at Ascension material, etc., and experiencing changes themselves. So of those who have heard about these videos given a specific time scale that is this one-off event that's going to occur, I think this is terribly disappointing and disheartening if they got their hopes up. And it's hard not to. It really is hard not to. Even though logically no, don't pay much attention to it. All of us are unhappy. So with the Earth at the moment and what's the state it's in and what's happening in the world. So we inevitably going to get our hopes up, even if a little bit, and then you get disappointed. Did you want to say something, Captain?
No, I did.
All right, fire away.
For what I've learned is the event. I know that people like to put dates on it, and I am totally in agreement with you that when those dates come and go, that it causes great depression and heartbreak in a lot of people. But what I've learned is that the event is happening now. It happens to different people at different times. I would consider something that happened to me in 2012 as my event. That's when I had this amazing thing happen to me that put me on this journey seeking for truth. I had hunger for things that I didn't have interest in before. My heart cracked wide open. The gifts were stirred up. The empathy, feeling what was going on in other people around me, had all these major changes within myself. And as time has gone on, I learned more and more and more. And I would call that an event. And as we become more self-aware of who and what we are, then we start understanding a little bit more about who and what we are and what we're able to do. And as people, that to me is a huge event. And as people are walking along these journeys and they become more self-aware, they're going to understand that that they're co-creating, and that when we get that through our heads and our hearts, that we have to say so in the creation that's going on around us, it will seem like a huge event to somebody who is completely maybe not stepped into this journey yet. That, oh my gosh, the world completely changed. Those in lack now have full cupboards. And because what I've noticed is with the people that are on this path and on this journey, one of the first things is your heart cracks wide open. There's this unconditional love that just starts flowing out of you. You start looking at things differently. Forgiveness starts pouring out of you. And you also realize that all the things that you've been through throughout your life, you had a part to blame there, because you're co-creating it. And once you get that understanding deep within you, you have to forgive yourself. Then you automatically forgive other people who partook in these events and these things that happened, whether it be trauma or love or good, bad, all of these things, they all help with the growth process. And when people become aware, there will be, as they call an event. And this is just what I think about it. I think that when over 50% of the population begins to understand that we are all co-creating, it will tip. The tipping scale will hit where the path of, the freedom, the love, the unconditional love for each other, that will be where we make a huge change in this world and realize that we are the actual creators, the God-given gift of creating this world. Where I believe this is in the Bible, where it says that they will melt down their weaponry and turn them into plowshares. Well, that kind of goes along with it. Why are you going to want to do battle with somebody who's co-creating with you? Aren't you going to want to come into one accord with them, get that new understanding, and make a better world for everybody? So that's what I look at as the event. The event is happening now. It's happening within each and every one of us. And a big event could come at that tipping scale. You get over 50%, we're all in one accord, we're all, desiring the same outcome, and bam, it could be a big event that everybody's been waiting for. It's pretty exciting, obviously. I'm really happy about it. I'm pretty excited about the things that I found out. I'm pretty excited about some personal things that have manifested in my life. And I'm very, very grateful for all the wonderful people that I have met along this journey that I would not have met had I not had this awakening in 2012. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you, Michele. Captain, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Michele. I think from talking to people and also myself, I see it happen around 2011, 2012 was a major step in the event. I do believe the event is gradual. It's not something that's going to be a big one-time spectacular display, but more of a inner vibrational and environmental vibrational change. And I've seen, even every time that you hear about these events, the different eclipses and things of that nature, you do hear of everyone, even myself, talk about feeling things different, interacting with people slightly different. For me, even in the community, just going to the store, seeing how people are interacting with each other, I see the difference at times during these times that these events are supposed to take place. So it's I don't think it's, like I said, a big spectacular event, but gradual. And these are just points where something just a little bit more is added to the mix, and for us to pay attention also, not to get stuck, like I was saying in the previous shows, not to get stuck in one category, to keep on going and searching, and then if need be, go back to that category if there's information in there that you might need, just so you don't get so caught up and stuck in the loop, as we talk about.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of you. I agree. I suspect I agree that I think this event is not going to be perceptible to everybody or even affect everybody. I think that everybody will be affected, but I do think it's occurring to different people at different times. For some people, it's like somebody's come up metaphorically and hit over the head with a baseball bat kind of shock. And for other people, it's lots of micro differences. And I know that, for myself, I felt those. And like Michele, I had a profound event occur to me. So some years ago, which started me on this journey and changed me in many ways. So I think for some of us, it won't be something you'll see, it'll be something you'll feel. But perhaps for others, it will be something they both see and feel. So it's going to affect everybody at different times, in different ways, in different strengths. I mean, even since the event that happened to me, there's been lots of micro events, especially over the last, probably this year, and a little bit longer perhaps. There's been lots of micro events, and they've been perceptible as well. So, I don't know why this lady was getting this time frame from, as she said, the majority of her clients in the first quarter of this year. She was very clear that it was not set in stone. She was having other answers as well. So, perhaps, who knows, we can speculate maybe as to why some people's higher selves allegedly are coming through and saying this is going to happen at the beginning of this year. Perhaps it was going to happen for them beginning of this year. But that does not necessarily mean for everybody, or that it would be detectable by everybody. Okay, so where do you think this is heading? These events. What do you think is going to? Is it going to affect everybody, all humans? What do you guys think?
Yes, I think that there will be no one left out. No one. This is not a chosen person or a chosen group, or it is not that type of a thing. It is everyone, all of us, all inclusive. We will all benefit from the blessings. We will all grow together. Some will catch up with others very quickly, and it's going to be an amazing thing. And I tell you, you can almost hear it in my voice. I am very excited because of the understandings that I'm getting now are coming in more clearly, and it's becoming more of a foundation to stand on from, okay, they've been trying to tell me this since 2012. Okay, I'm thick-headed. It took me a while, but it's coming in loud and clear, and the proofs are out there. It's happening right around all of us, and there will be nobody left out. Nobody. That's how I feel about it. That's the feeling that I get. That unconditional love that we get from God, Source, or whatever your feeling is on that. Once you feel that unconditional love, how can anybody think that there is anybody that would ever be left out? Because that being, whatever that love feeling that I got, was so unconditional that it didn't look at it. Even if I feel I made mistakes and things that I did, I'm a harsh judge on myself. But what I felt was so perfect and so pure that no matter what I would think is a mistake, it only looked at me with unconditional, pure love. And that's what we got to get across. Even people that we think are doing wrong, or things that they do that are, that we would consider wrong and harm to others, they're going to come around. This heart opening is going to happen to them also. And we can't, actually, you will not have judgment for them. You will actually forgive them, no matter what part they played on this earth, on this stage. Our hearts will open and forgive them and embrace them. And when they are ready and they come along into this, we're going to accept them with open arms and realize that they're loved just as unconditionally as we are. Thank you, Mel.
No, thank you. What about you? What about Sup and Captain? What do you think? This is going to affect everybody.
I feel it's a graduation for the planet and for those that are ready. And I think that creation's working with this. Like, I don't know if other people have noticed synchronicities. Like, you'll think of something, and as soon as you start to study synchronicities, you have them all the time. It's like the system, the planet, creation has always been working with us, and we're ready to graduate and evolve. Some people said that they were going to go in healing domes where her son had passed over. And I was skeptical, like, are we going to the heaven realm? But we might get to the point where we can talk to, because many of us are getting spiritual gifts, we may get to the point where we can talk to loved ones that have passed over.
That's true. And sorry, Captain, I just want to say this before I forget, that I was watching a video today, and I think the YouTube channel is called Quantum Science Research. When I do the description for this, I'll put a link to this specific video. And thanks, Kat, for leaving that for us in Discord. You're watching. But the video was about science's understanding of the nature of reality. And one of the things it was pointing out was that, and this is quite hard to visualize without seeing the graphics in the video, but that the basic unit of our reality is a tetrahedral pyramid. And that unit, which makes up everything, is a reflection, a three-dimensional reflection of a four-dimensional basic unit, which is obviously a slightly different shape. And that four-dimensional unit is a four-dimensional reflection of an eight-dimensional basic unit. So basically what they're saying is that there's a reality that is eight-dimensional, which is reflected and converted to a four-dimensional reality, which itself is converted and reflected to create a three-dimensional reality, which is what we all know and think of as our reality. So that implies to me that there is a four-dimensional version of myself, and there is also an eight-dimensional version of myself, at least from what they were saying. I mean, perhaps there's five-dimensional, six-dimensional, seven-dimensional, and 9 and 10, and who knows. So, if this is the event is to raise our vibration, it seems to me that we are becoming more fourth-dimensional. And I know it's confusing because you hear it, oh, we're going into fourth dimension or 5D. They both mean the same thing. One is fourth dimension, the other one is 5D. They mean exactly the same thing. There's two different ways of viewing it. But so we are going into the fourth dimension, otherwise known as 5D. So at least I think I've got that the right way around. So I was saying this in response to something Sup had said, and now I can't think what it was I was saying in response to it. So I'm just going to stop talking now. Captain, what do you think? Can you hear me, Captain? Okay, does it? Okay, Captain's got technical issues, it seems. Okay, so if we agree that this is going to affect everybody on Earth, which I think it will as well, what do you think? That's what I was thinking of, the healing domes, right, from what Stuff was saying. So my point was, perhaps these healing domes are present in the 8th dimensional realm, or over 5, 6, 7, the dimension, not here, or even in 4D. So if they are located in a higher dimension, where there is a higher dimension representation of each of us, we could be being healed right now in these healing domes and not even be aware of it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're all gonna like be suddenly find ourselves somewhere with healing domes, or we're gonna have silver spaceships come and scoop us up and take us there. I believe both of those things are likely to happen. I just don't think the majority of people would even be aware that they are happening at the time they're happening, because it's happening to our higher selves, our higher dimensional versions of ourselves. So anyway, that's the point I wanted to make. So if we agree it's going to happen to everybody, what do you think will life be like when we're all in the 4th dimension? Michele.
Well, lack will disappear. Plenty, because we already have plenty, but there will no longer be anybody going without. That competitive streak, that drive to step over each other, to compete, to be better, to make the more money, to do this, to do that. We will be more heart centered. We will think more about what's in the best interest of everybody, not just what's in the best interest of ourselves. You were talking about the healing domes, and I want to touch back onto that for a second, if you don't mind, Mel. The healing domes could be happening to us now. I've heard so many people, and I myself have had dreams where I'm having surgery done. And it was about a week ago, maybe a little over a week, I shared with Bob and a few other people that there was this triangular thing they were trying to pull down over my shoulders, over my head, over my shoulder. And I kept pushing it up. And by the 3rd time it came down, I felt like this scratch on the back of my neck. Now, normally when I'm in dream state, I don't have physical sensation. Sometimes I do, but it's not a regular thing. Well, when I felt that scratch, I pushed that triangular thing up off of me. And I began to walk on this path. It was a beautiful little path. And I was being followed by the guy that was actually having me do this triangle thing over my head, which, of course, if something like that's going on with us, they have ways of making us see something differently, so it's not so traumatic. But anyway, I had my hand behind my neck, and I was holding it. And then when I brought my hand around to the front, there was a lot of blood. So it was not just a scratch. It was like an incision. And he was telling me that I had to come back. I needed to come back to finish it out, because if the incision had been made, I needed to finish up whatever they were doing. And then a few hours later, I woke up and I went, and this is how real it was. I went to the mirror, grabbed another mirror, and was checking the back of my neck to see if there was any kind of an incision. So You know, they talk about healing domes and things like that, and there is a good possibility that in the etheric realm that we are being worked on. We've heard so much about different body changes and things like improvements, activation of DNA, things that have been dormant, you know, in our systems for so long are being turned on, switched on. We were talking earlier in the chat about, you know, maybe these colors always existed, but our vision is now improved that we're able to actually see that we have pink clouds and rainbow mountains. And so, you know, it's not that these animals or whatever have changed, it's that we're actually finally able to see through our true eyes. So, you know, when it comes to people talk about healing domes, and, I am open to any kind of understanding or perspective, because I know one thing, and that is that I don't know. And I will be the first to tell you I don't know everything. So I am always eager to learn, and I'm always eager to listen to other people. That's how I learn. That's how I grow. And then if there's something that somebody says that I question, I take it into meditation or into prayer, whatever your interpretation of that is. And the answers come from within. And it seems that I get the answers for the questions that my heart truly is seeking. And that's something that's wonderful. And it doesn't take, I don't have to pray for a year before I get an answer. I can go into a meditation for 20 minutes on something and come out with the answer. So there's just so much going on. And I just see everything turning to the positive and people genuinely caring for each other. We will no longer want to harm each other. We will want to nurture each other, because you're going to look at that other person, you're going to look straight into their eyes, and you're going to see yourself. They are another part of you. So if you're harming them, you're harming yourself. So I just gave you a gazillion topics to go off of there because I went all over the place. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's interesting that you dreamt they were using a triangle or pyramid kind of instrument, because yesterday in meditation, I wasn't even deliberately meditating. I just was slipped into a meditative state. And I saw a blue pyramid, a tetrahedron pyramid. And it's interesting. It's just a correlation there between you seeing a pyramidal tool being used on you in your dream and me seeing a blue pyramid. What do you think, Sir? What do you think the new Earth is going to be like? The fourth dimensional Earth?
Well, I think that maybe some of us are splitting off to start with. I think there's people, you ask them about Mandela memories, they have completely different Mandela memories. People in your family start behaving differently, and you start to lose friends and gain friends. I've gained friends from this new time period that are from all over the world. It's like Lost, how all these people come together for a magical adventure. And you're in a magical realm. But I think that not everybody I came in with is with me. And I don't think everybody was ready for Ascension. And they're going to the classroom that's appropriate for them. I think for me, it's slowly changing. I'm seeing new magical animals, and the sky looks different. And I think the world is being recreated slowly. And fourth dimension, I think, is where you go where there's no time. I don't think I will hit that this side of the veil in this lifetime.
Okay. Yeah, so the way I look at it is, I think what's going on, this is my current theory, is that, and I explained this in chat earlier, that there are many different sub-dimensions within each dimension, and each one has a different frequency, a different energetic frequency. And this ties into the Mandela Effect as well, that I think what's happening is, for whatever the reason is, our frequencies are being increased or are increasing. So when we're seeing these Mandela effects, when we're seeing and perceiving these land animals and the new shape of the earth, and we're changing anatomically, I think that that's all tied in to slipping into the higher dimensional version of ourselves. I think there's a version of ourselves that exists in all the different dimensional frequencies. And I think we're slipping into the higher dimensional versions of ourselves. And it could be that the lower versions are collapsing up into the higher ones. And so when we're seeing these effects, the Mandela effects, and these phenomena that we're seeing, it's almost like we're changing TV channels. So we're actually changing the channels on the TV being our reality. So each different TV channel is being broadcast at a different frequency, and we're simply switching channels, and we're seeing the new ones. So the fourth dimensional new Earth exists already, and in this theory, every one of us has a version of ourselves already there. So we're simply approaching and going higher in frequency. So we're seeing new versions of the earth, new versions of animals. And like you said, like, for example, pink dolphins. Then, so in my lower frequency version of me, in that reality, the dolphins weren't pink. But now we're seeing pink. Just like insects. We all know that insects see differently to us. So we'll look at, say, a yellow flower and see a yellow flower with a black center. An insect who feeds on that flower won't see a yellow flower with a black center. It will see a flower that's perhaps got black stripes or dark stripes on white. Or it's the same flower, and we're both looking at exactly the same flower, but we're seeing different things, because the other colors that the insect's seeing are outside the visible range of human sight. So we're not seeing all the colors of the flower. So it's the same principle. It's just that we are slipping into a different version of ourselves that can see a slightly wider range of visible sight. So that's why we're seeing the different colors and the different land animals in this theory. And we can debate about what's causing that. Is it being done deliberately? Are we doing it? Is it a natural event? And I think really all of it ties in together. I do think CERN probably has something to do with it. I think they did somehow connect or increase the connection between different frequencies. And I do think that humans are probably trying to manipulate it, the powers that be, for their own purposes. And I do think that the internet is shared across a broad range of different frequency versions of reality, of Earth. And I think there's a lot of evidence for that. So with the quantum computers that they're using now, which we know they admit they only work because they're actually connected to another version of that same computer in a different frequency range, which they call a dimension. So I think the internet is being shared. So I think when we're talking to people online, we're not always talking to the version of that person that's existing in the same frequency reality we are. And people are oscillating. They're bouncing between different frequency bands within a range. So depending on how they feel. So that's why it's very important to keep yourself filled with light and love and all the new agey, emotions. Keep yourself at a higher vibration. And this is scientific fact that love vibrates at a higher frequency than hate, for example. So keep yourself vibrating at a highest frequency you can at all times, so that you're always going to be in the highest possible frequency band for you at any given time. And I don't know, I think time will exist in 4D, but fourth dimension, but I think it's manipulatable. So there's a deeper connection, or we have access to the connection between the different times. So I think that would be the difference. Have you guys got anything to add to that? Or anything you'd like to respond?
I've questioned if maybe the Mandela effects, Edgar Casey said that weather was affected by human nature. And I question sometimes if the Mandela effects we see are just a representation of us as a culture. Like as religion becomes less predominant, we see the figure of Christ getting smaller for me in Brazil. And so some of the changes I question if they're representing, like in a dream, symbolically of our thoughts and where we are.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. We know what's true. We know that we can affect reality with our consciousness. So we know that now. And if you look back through history, there's so many reports of that. For example, one that's just come to mind, when the Spanish Armada came to invade Britain in the reign of Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I was very interested in mysticism, esotericism, the Kabbalah, and she used occultists a lot. And my understanding is, I don't know the details, but there was occult magic used to bring up the storm, apparently, to sink most of the Spanish Armada. And, you know, she's not the first world leader to be known and recorded to use magic to help them, dark light or whatever. So I think, I mean, we know. That's okay. Sorry, Michelle just listened to me. My ears. So I think, yes, we know, those of us who are affected by the Mandela effect, that our consciousness affects reality. We see it in application. The world should know that science knows this. And through experimentation have determined that that's the case. So I think you're right. I think some of the Mandela effects are definitely representations of our consciousness affecting the reality around us. Absolutely. What do you think, Michele?
The Mandela effect, to me, is almost, you know, it's one of those undeniable proofs out there. And, you know, so many things have changed, and to have so many people having the same changes that they remember, you know, that's a phenomenon in itself. And by all this changing, it's proving to us that what is going on around us, we can affect it. We can have a profound effect on it. As people, you know, get the more understanding of whom, what they are, what we're able to do. You know, the Mandela effect will seem like absolutely a little nothing compared to what we're going to do in the future. But it's an undeniable proof of manifestation. It's wonderful. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And it is, you know, it is something that we can all see and we can all agree on. And then from there, you know, we can come together and then there will be no stopping us. I mean, that's such a big, huge, in your face type of a proof that, you know, and I don't really know many people that have not been affected by the Mandela effect. It used to be people were like, oh, no, no, no. And they would argue till they're blue in the face, and it's always been that way, even though you remember it completely different than what, you know, what it is now. Now it's, no, wait a minute, hold on, it was like that. And so that group is becoming bigger, where the deniers are becoming smaller. And to me, that's progress. Progress in the right direction. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. More people affected, even though some of them just deny it or brush it away as if it's unimportant. Because I just don't think they really understand the ramifications of what this means. And I mean, some examples that I was thinking about to tell the viewers about how both what I and my sub were saying, in that, and all of us are saying, is that our consciousness affects reality, and we're slipping in different TV channels. Would be, for example, there was one occasion I can think of, this is what I've been told by other people. So imagine two people sat there looking at the same Bible and the same Bible passage, but both of them are literally seeing different words on the page. And the one that's seeing the old version on the page, instantly, at that moment, you're still looking at the same page, suddenly saw the new version appear. So now this, what I think is going on, is a process of entrainment. And what entrainment means is, imagine you've got 3 cellos sat side by side, and you pluck a C on the one on the left, you pluck a C on the one on the right, and have it continuously doing the C. But nobody touches the one in the middle. The one in the middle will start to play the same C as the ones on the other side of it. And that is called entrainment, where the frequency of the environment affects the frequency of the object in question, or person or animal. So if you take this in terms of humanity, a belief system is a frequency. It broadcasts a certain frequency. A certain mindset, an emotion is a frequency. So if you spend a lot of time with people around you who are very angry people, you will automatically start, your frequency, your emotional frequency will start to entrain to theirs. So you will start feeling emotions of anger far more than you would normally do. The same applies if you're spend a lot of time with people who are very loving. You will entrain to that frequency. And this is known. This is fact. It's the process of entrainment. So the way this applies to the Mandela Effect and what's going on with the Ascension is that example I was talking about, where the 2 people sat there looking at the same Bible, the same passage, same page at the same time. And the person who was seeing the old version of the passage suddenly starts seeing the new version, because at that moment his frequency entrained to the frequency of the person sat beside him who was seeing the Mandela Effect version. Suddenly, now his entire reality, he's basically switched TV channels. And there's been multiple cases and witness accounts of this phenomena occurring in different actual specific examples. So one that happened to me was myself and a friend were watching the same YouTube video. We're both on different countries. We're both watching the same video at the same time. And at the same time it occurred to both of us, the video started to change as it was playing. So it's morphing into a new version as it's playing, and we both saw it change at the same time. So what would have happened there is both of our frequencies switched and then trained to a higher, or a different anyway, frequency. So suddenly we switched TV channels. So we're seeing the version of that same video then that exists in another frequency band, another reality, another dimension. And there's lots and lots of examples of this process occurring. And another time you can tell, you can start to learn when this is happening to you. So, for example, for me, I know what's happening to me when I will literally perceive like a wave, like from past down in front of my field of vision, and I'll see physical objects start waving like that, as if I'm looking slightly through them through water. Other times I won't see that, but I will perceive that different wave come down, and I can feel the effects. You know, I feel different. I feel suddenly my emotions are more loving or more happy. And it can happen like very quickly. You can get several up all at the same time coming down in rapid succession. So this occurs a lot, I think, in meditation. And Captain's just joined us, so I'm going to give Captain an opportunity to say what he would like to say based on what we've all been talking about. Welcome back, Captain.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to go back to the question you're asking. You're talking about the triangles, and you're describing how what they were saying about the 8 dimension going into the 4, I believe, and I got disconnected. So if you want to ask the question again, I'll be happy to answer it.
Well, we've just been talking about. Can you mute in Discord? Thanks, Captain.
I think it's about the healing
Yes.
chambers. Is it about the healing chambers? No.
Yeah, we've talked about quite a lot since you went. So we've talked about healing chambers. We've talked about the different frequencies. We've talked about what the event is. So I was explaining what I explained in Discord, my understanding earlier about we're switching TV channels. That's what the Mandela Effect is, and what we're all experiencing, and how I perceive waves coming down in front of reality. And I know I'm not the only one who sees that. So that, to me, it seems that humanity is operating at the moment in different frequencies, and that people are changing frequencies, and every time they do, they see a slightly different version of reality because they're viewing through a different TV channel.
Well, I see it's, everything's pretty much a matter of perspective that we see and how we look at things, and how I see it is our subconscious, how we perceive things. It affects our environment, is this creation or this construct that we're in. I believe whatever's happening, it is making us better as humans, and ones that have started their path and are open-minded and walking down it. It's a beautiful thing to see, especially new people that have just awakened, or young people seeing more younger people interested is definitely exciting. And it is about love. It's love over fear, and it's not just because we say it. I believe it's something that you come to a conclusion as you keep experiencing. You do research, and you come to find out that question that's inside a lot of people of what is and why we're here. What's this? Where do we actually find ourselves in? And then, going through finding out a lot of stuff has been lied about, or finding about Mandela Effect, about things changing, can definitely take the basic boring logic of society and life on this planet and take it to a whole nother level. For me, just researching and going over things, I as I go over, say, if I was reading the Emerald tablets, I'll have a vibration or a feeling in my inner soul about something I read, or something I heard, or even somebody's awakening story. A lot of times they're similar. They come to the similar conclusions, as me, but they've gone through something different, slightly different than I. So, um, it's just interesting, and I also gain a lot and more to from my experience and from their experience, and helps me, uh, kind of put together what this construct is. I do find that um, a lot of, however anybody looks at it, it tends to become a metaphor to the same of whatever it is, and I believe that uh, is not actually explainable in language. I believe there's a lot of things that's not that language is pretty much limiting, and that those answers that we seek are from within. Kind of like if one, I guess, give an example from someone ones that don't understand is something like if you're in a dream and you see somebody and you can communicate with them, you kind of understand them, know what they're doing, what they're about, and just by a feeling and the vibration without even having to talk to them in that dream is kind of that kind of knowing. So it's uh you kind of get those kind of those vibrations within, and also and it helps you in your search. For me, I see my environment started helping me out, whether it's as seeing synchronicities, triple numbers together, seeing the same numbers, um, things of that nature. It was kind of confusing at first, but it ended up becoming, once it become normal, it's kind of fun to kind of use as you walk your path. You kind of see it's kind of coded. So saying, some people say it's a computer simulation, some people say it's maybe we're robots, or things like that. It could be a little bit of the same of all of the above. I think it's just they're just metaphors for what is. If we're mutated animals from alien race used as slaves. I think all that's some type of metaphor for what really is, and we just gotta kind of read those stories, go through, see where our path takes us to try to enlighten each of us the way that we can digest and understand it in our reality.
Thanks. Thanks, Captain. Okay, so Cashew, sorry, I'm calling him or her Cashew in chat on YouTube has asked the Cashew Monkey, sorry, has asked an interesting question. He's asked, what is love to everyone? What do you guys think? Do you want to go on, Michele? What do you think? What's love?
Love to me, like I said, it's changed. Since the 10-year ago Michele that I don't recognize anymore to who I am today. Love is an all-encompassing, um, all-forgiving, want to take care of you, want to bring joy to people, love to see people smile, love to see people passionate about what they're doing, finding joy in their life. Love to me it's an unconditional, it's like a warm blanket wrapped around you when you're around people that love you. There's such trust, um, there's such beauty. Right? You look into their eyes and you see a reflection of yourself back in their eyes, and therefore self love. One thing I've learned is if you don't love yourself, it's really, you can't really love another. And on this journey, we go through different things. Some people love themselves too much that they forget others. Some people neglect themselves and go into service for others so much that they neglect themselves. There's a good balance in love. Love is something that is all encompassing, and it lightens my heart. Um, it feels good. There's no better feeling in the world. That is the word is used a lot in our language, but the actual feeling that comes behind the word love is so powerful and so indescribable and so beautiful that that's what we all strive for, is to love each other and to be loved that way. So that's the best description that I can give. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you. What do you think, Sap?
I think there's different types of love. There's physical love, emotional love, and spiritual love. And spiritual love is a place of peace and goodwill. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I can't improve from what Michele said. It's just brilliantly. Captain, what do you think?
I guess I go last next time, huh? Sorry, Captain. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, you know, love's indescribable. It's and something you can experience that can be described with words. Again, language is limited. It is the most beautiful of beauties. It can be. It can cause pain, but I believe the pain is only caused because of loss of maybe of beauty. But you know, it's definitely, if someone hasn't experienced it, I do recommend seeking and finding it. It's definitely something that could be used as a tool for growth in each of us as a species, to go to that next level and find the capabilities that we are, the tools that we have within us that we lay dormant. It's more beautiful than beauty. That's the most best description I can say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I can't agree with what anybody else has said there. What do you guys think about meditation? Because meditation is quite new to me, and I mean, I never expected to experience the kind of things in meditation that I do, and for me, at least, I find that it is critically important for this process, that unless you meditate, I believe, from what I've my own experience, at least for me, if I don't meditate, then my frequency becomes entrained to the more negative orientated emotions, and therefore I think that drives our frequency down, and we enter versions of reality that are more and more oppressive. So for me, meditation, I find, is so important, because it's really, in meditation, is the best way to entrain yourself to higher frequencies. Because I think it's like we're being pulled up by our higher selves, but the connection isn't perfect. It's there, but to access it, meditation really helps to open that access. It's sorry, Michele? Okay, so right, she's talking to me in my ear. I couldn't tell if she was talking on it. If you were hearing her, anyway. So it's a bit like imagine trying to you're in a stream, you're a fish in a, well, say you're in a river, you're a fish in a river, and in a river you've got varying currents through the river, or varying speeds of flow. And if you imagine the faster flowing is representative of a higher frequency, or your higher selves, your version of yourselves in higher frequency, and the slower current areas are the versions of yourself in lower frequencies. If you get, every time you slip closer to that faster current, you start getting pulled along with the current up into high frequencies, and every time you veer away from it, you slow down and you're going down into lower frequencies. That's an analogy. It's not perfect, but it's one that just came up on top of my head to explain what I mean. What do you guys think about meditation?
Definitely helps us focus, helps me focus, kind of slow down the brain so much, not it helps me keep worry out of my mind, keep that focus and more of a strategy of solution, and try to get that anxiousness out of me to kind of, run around with the chicken with its head cut off, so to speak. It also, a little bit past 2012, when everything was going on, I started meditating to try to calm my mind down, figure out what was going on within myself, and I was doing it pretty heavy, and that's where I got into meditation, and just doing it on my own, and then looking it up and researching it, figuring different ways that techniques to use. But then also I stopped after a while, after the the experience started calming down and mellowing out. Everything started becoming more normal for me. Then going back to normal life. Things are still happening, but it's just more normal to me now. It's just a way of life. So just normal, normal now. So and then so I slowed down on the meditations, but then we started in Discord, going back to the group meditations, and and those were pretty good. Yeah, they started getting me back on track, which I probably needed at the time, because I wasn't. I think I needed to kind of keep that connection going. It helps me. For me, it's like more of a connection to Source as I go into the meditations, and doing the group meditations helped me bring me to a level faster than I was able to gain previously by myself. Like, I can get to that level, but I had to do it for a longer time, repetitively. Where once I jumped into the group text, or the group meditations, it just kicked back real quick. So I definitely recommend the meditations. The experience, one just has to experience. So if one's skeptical, just try it. Trying it once, see what it does for you, see what experience it has.
And thank you. And anyone who's watching, whether now or later, there'll be a link in the description to a Discord server. That's Discord's a website or an app, depending on what you're going to access it on a computer or on a phone. And it's a chat service originally designed for gamers, but it's used by lots of different communities to communicate and keep in touch. And we have a community on there where we offer guided for free on a regular basis. So if you want to try it, then that's one way to come in and take part in the group guided meditations. But if you're completely new to meditations, and you're a bit wary or nervous about that, join the community anyway. Just come talk to us. You don't have to talk to us by voice. You can just talk in text. It's up to you. But you can actually go to my other YouTube channel, which a link will be in the description as well, called Outer Space, and I've uploaded a meditation on there that is a guided one and was a group one, but it's perfectly fine for individuals as well as groups. So that will give you just a sample of what it's like to meditate, and an idea of what a group meditation would be like. So you can listen to it privately and see if you think it's for you, or if you're curious and would like to try it, then come into Discord and take part in the next group meditation. It doesn't require anything of you other than space and time to relax. That's it. No video and trust. Yes, no video. Just listen. You're not going to be hypnotized, or you're not going to start meowing like a cat or barking like a dog. It's not like that. It's just being relaxed and following the visualizations to help you learn skills to working with your own energy, and to help you to learn how to modulate your own emotions much more effectively. Okay, so I'm sorry. Michelle's talking in my ear and she's saying to me, smile. She's making me laugh. Okay, so what do you guys think? What do you, Michele, think about meditation?
Yay, my turn. I want to say that I was leery of group meditation. And I do meditate, pray. Either one, they're both one and the same. You look at the group book, it says to, pray in private, don't pray in the corner. You pray in the private, in your prayer closet, which would be a form of meditation. The Father in heaven, God, source, rewards you openly. Well, I get only so far with meditation on my own. I got questions answered, don't get me wrong. And I have to agree with Captain when he says that quieting the mind, that was one of the most difficult parts, was getting my mind quiet. But once I overcame that, it was just absolutely amazing. Then I was invited by Mel to do a group meditation. And I want to tell you guys a little crazy story here. We've got time. When she brought this up, I was new coming into the room. And I asked a lot of questions to her in private, since I've known her for quite a while. She's a beautiful person. So I was asking, because I trust her, and I was asking a lot of questions about group meditation, and she just addressed a few of the issues that I had. And I was asking her these questions in private, because I didn't want to, insult who was ever going to lead the meditation or do anything to hurt anybody's feelings. Well, okay, this is going to go off the topic of meditation, but I'm going to come right back to it. Then, all of a sudden, bam, what I heard was a bam. All my power went out. I had to go outside, flip the breaker, brought my computer back up, and the conversation that I had with this woman was gone. Then a very generic conversation was in the general area of chat. I was flabbergasted. I was floored. And then of course, anybody that has been through that kind of an experience, you kind of have to, welcome Magi, you kind of have to stabilize yourself, ground yourself out. Well, I did partake in the group meditation, and it was led by a gentleman named Bob. And he took us on this journey. And when we went through this journey, and he brought us back, and then he set us free to go and wander and explore. I saw some of the most amazing things. It's indescribable. I had never had such a powerful, meditative, visual, stimulant type of a meditation on my own. I highly recommend, if you have not tried a group meditation. This was a wonderful group of people. I trust every single one of them. The journey was absolutely beautiful. and I went places I never had been to or even touched on, and on my own meditations, and it was just absolutely. I was astounded. I just we went into post meditation, and I was so excited about what I had seen. I began to share with Mel. She was already in post meditation. We started talking, and what the interesting thing was is that we both saw some similar things. I believe, Mel, that we both saw people holding hands in the circle.
Yeah.
And that was when I was off on my own, and there was about 30 people I saw holding hands with each other, and we began to spin, and we were facing inward towards each other, and I could recognize some of the people, but others I did not. And we began to spin, and then just like in total synchronicity, we all turned around. So then our backs were facing in and we were facing outward, and we locked hands together. And instead of when we were spinning facing in, we were spinning like in an upward direction, kind of like, think about a tornado, going up, 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 But when we flipped around and we were holding hands, it was more of a figure 8 type, up, down, totally beautiful. We were going so fast. And in the center was the earth. It was behind us. We were, and by us, whatever we were doing with our group, the earth, it formed in the center of us. And what it looked like, it was getting more and more bright, and I was seeing like gray stuff like fall off of it, and then these beautiful colors were coming out of it, and then gray stuff, more gray, it was like as we were spinning, whatever the motions were that we were doing, it was sloughing off any dingy colors, and the colors of the planet or the whatever was, in between us was getting brighter and brighter and brighter. Such a beautiful experience. If you have not done a group guided meditation, I highly recommend it. It is absolutely wonderful. And I still brag on it today because it was so profound. Oh my gosh, I kicked myself because I missed one yesterday, and I just kicked myself for having not had the opportunity to join in. But definitely come to Amber's place and join a group meditation. You will not regret it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And sorry, Sup, we will get to this. Hi, Magi. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had some Discord or internet problems. I actually read it first. Can you hear me? Am I breathing on you?
Can you hear him?
You can't hear me? She can't hear me. I need to go into Discord, I think. This is what I'm at. I was jumping all over the place.
Yes, yeah, you got to do the same thing as last time. And we had such technical problems too. It's just something in the air. We pushed that back though, and we're here. But yeah, just go in there, and then when you pop in there, we'll all do what we need to do. But so she can hear you.
Give me a minute.
Alrighty. Doll.
Thanks, Magi.
Barry White is in the house. We got Barry White. We got Cutie Pie. It's good. It's a good night. I'm having a good night. We got Sup. Yeah. Sup.
Hi, Sup. While Magi's getting into Discord so I can hear him and sorting that out, what do you think, Sup, of meditating?
Well, I love going in my garden and meditating, and that's where I'm always hearing everything's working out perfectly. I get answers. But when I do guided meditation, it's different for all of us. We discuss what it was like, and it's always different. And we talk about what we want to do. And so if somebody did come meditate with us, they know what we're going to do in the meditation. And there's times when we meditated, and coming from a Christian background, I don't know if I would have done this at first. We meditated in front of the mirror, and that was amazing, doing a meditation in front of the mirror. Where other people love to visualize in their mind, I saw amazing things with my eyes open. So if you want to improve your gifts, meditation is just, with this group, is amazing.
Thanks, Sup. And that's true. That's a good point with the gifts. Magi, just like, oh great, you have come off mute. It does improve your gifts, meditation. That's something I've seen as well. Everyone has different gifts naturally. Psychic gifts, I'm talking about, what most people call psychic gifts. And everyone has a different range and different propensities in each one. This is what I believe. And what meditation allows you to do is it fine-tunes the ones that you're strongest with. So, for example, for meditation, we're looking in the mirror, and we must do that again. Please speak up next time we're talking about doing one sup. Was very powerful, and other people visualizing is very powerful, and other people find it very difficult to visualize entirely, but they get other benefits out of it. But I think most of us have noticed an increase in psychic phenomena, and I know I have, and these are things, the gifts I think we all have naturally, but they're boosting the levels up. And one thing I think we would like to do more of is fine-tuning specific psychic gifts in meditation. So for some, that will be gifts maybe they don't have a natural strength in yet, but it's a bit like so years ago I was training to be teacher, and I was learning about, in the theory, about different learning styles. And off the top of my head, there was a kinesthetic learning style, which is where you learn best by moving and doing. There's audio learning style through hearing, visual, and there's other ones as well, intrapersonal, interpersonal. And you can do quizzes online, and it will tell you where your current natural strengths of learning style is. But that's not set in stone. That's the whole idea. The ideal position to be is where it's a balance across the board. But most people aren't like that. They'll have very high scores in one particular area, and they'll have lower scores in others, and then really low scores in one or two. But by focusing and practicing learning in the styles that your less natural strengths are, you can increase your skills in that area and bring it up to be more in level with higher ones. So eventually, if you do that with all the lower ones, you become across the board. And it's the same, I believe, with psychic gifts. So we all have natural ones that will occur naturally to us, intuitively, without subconsciously. But we have other ones that are going to take a bit more time and effort. It's a bit like, if you're learning to draw. Some people have just a natural skill at it, and it's very easy for them to do that and to perfect it much faster. And other people, it's going to take a bit longer because they don't have such a natural gift. But it doesn't mean they can't become as good. It's just going to take a bit more time and effort and practice for those. So this is the same with psychic gifts. And meditation really does help with that. Okay, Magi, what do you think about meditation? Magi, I can hear you in Discord, but you're muted on my screen in Hangouts, so I don't think the viewers can hear you.
Yeah, I said the first time. I think you can hear me now, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I only did singular, by myself, meditation for years. It was actually a new experience for me to do a group meditation. And yes, I think it sharpens even things going on during your day. I mean, I can focus better. I could daydream stronger. I mean, I just think it sharpens your abilities. Any of those things that would take you out of the ordinary world. And it's been very beautiful experiences for sure. I recommend to anybody.
Thank you. And it helps you sleep.
Yes, and definitely helps me sleep. Sometimes I go straight into the dream world. Yes, I do. And it's an experience in itself. But yes, for sure.
Yes, I mean it's I think a few of us have fallen asleep in Discord.
Yeah.
No, I have before. It certainly does relax you.
Yes. If nothing else, you will get that.
Exactly.
For sure.
Okay, so do you think that, it's just a question that's popped in my head. So do you think that those of us who are more affected by the Mandela Effect, do you think that might be tied into meditation? So, well, I think what I'm asking is that, do you think that might be a key commonality, that those who are affected by the Mandela Effect are those who are more prone to naturally meditating, whether they realize it or not? Because we've discussed before, there are something like 4 different types of meditation. There's some daydreaming is meditating. Just deep thinking when you're doing the dishes or the laundry, or if you're a bloke when you're in the garden, or whatever between sexes. But your mind's not on your physical task, you're actually thinking about other stuff. That's form of meditation.
Yes,
so do you think there's a correlation?
Yeah, I do. I think that several reasons, not just meditation. I know when I'd gotten back into Discord and we'd all got together there initially, there was a lot of people that had already practiced some type of meditation. Yeah, there was a little dispute on how to do it. But, yeah, that's a whole nother situation. But yeah, I definitely think there's a common connection there with several other things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do the rest of us sup? What do you think about that? Do you think there's a correlation?
I think people that see the Mandela effects are sensitive people. I think we're willing to see the world differently and take risks. And I do believe that, yes, we're probably more open to the subconscious spiritual mind.
Absolutely. And what do you think, Captain? Do you think there's a correlation between those who meditate and those who are waking up?
Yes, the Mandela affected. I believe everybody's Mandela affected. I mean, we just put a term to something that's going on, and that's kind of stuck. But that's whatever's happening there. I think everybody is affected, whether we choose to pay attention to it and research it. That's one thing or another. But even people that don't tend to want to research it, when I show it to them, I ask them before I even let them know about certain things, such as mirror, mirror on the wall. There's certain things that they know, and then they tell me, and then I show them a video, and then it blows their minds, you know, and they, you know, they'll focus for a minute, and then they just get distracted. So, and that's what, once I see them get distracted, then, you know, I just let them go, because it's just they're just not ready, whether it's their higher selves or whether it's not. It's just a waste of energy trying to, you know, go in and awaken them. Just when they're ready, they'll come back. I've seen some, I'll have certain conversations every once in a while with them. And then when something happens to them, especially spiritually, they'll come and talk to me about it, and then focus on it. So I just, you know, I see it as people doing it on their time, when they're ready, when they've been through enough experiences to be able to handle the next levels, or the next stages in that levels.
Okay, and thanks. And Sat, did I ask you already? I forget.
You did. You asked me. I do. I have to say that the true ascension to me, though, the topic of what we're talking about, I think will eventually turn into our
You're
rainbow
muted
bodies.
in Discord, Sat. So, yeah.
I did want to say, since we were talking about Ascension, don't you think eventually Ascension is turning into our rainbow bodies?
I think that the rainbow body is a representation of a version of ourselves in a much higher dimension. I think it could be that we get to our rainbow bodies in the fourth dimension. I don't think it is though. I think it's much higher. I think it's over the sixth dimension, personally, from what I've read and things like that. So I think the rainbow body is in us and all of us already, because we're all connected to our higher selves. But I don't think we're going to shed permanently this flesh suit as we're going through this process. And at least not all of us, perhaps some of us will, if they're already higher, at a higher frequency. Who knows? What to do? Michele had a good point, because Magi wasn't here. Magi, what do you think about the event, about what it is and what's going to happen?
You mean the March Dateline event? Yeah, I think it's a daily thing personally. I do think there's times where there's people may predict surges of waves, and they're accurate. I think there's predictors or the gift of prophecy is definitely out there, no matter what religion you're in. So I do think they hit dates sometimes that are very accurate, or at least on an up wave. From what I'd seen, I see that seem like the Christian world may be expecting a rapture, the UFO world disclosure, and I think those things are happening daily. I really do. I think it's a daily experience, but I do agree that they come in waves, and I had actually felt a shift in March, so in a wave, so I could relate to it. I didn't ever think there was going to be a second coming or a rapture, none of that. But, internally, yes, definitely. It's like a surge of spiritual awakening, and I think we're seeing it in our meditations and in our fellowship. Yes, we're displaying that surge of yes. I really see it.
And what did you think about Stuff's question about our rainbow bodies? Do you think we're going to get our rainbow bodies?
I think that would be progressive too. I think there will come a time, if we're not past. I think when we pass, it's a whole different, reality. While alive, I could see it happening, yes. But I would more or less agree with you. I think it's a progressive thing that would take us through a different level of spiritual growth before that would happen. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think the energy that comes off of us is rainbow? So we could
like she said it was already there. I agree with that. Yeah.
And maybe we're going to progress into our crystalline bodies. Ooh.
That would probably be, I think progression is infinite, so I would certainly assume that that's very possible, Michele. Yeah.
Cool. It'll be already our crystalline. This reality is based on a crystalline structure.
One of the things, for the Mandela community, is that you're seeing body changes, and if you're coming from a biblical background, it talks about those dead will awaken, and those that are alive will be changed, and we're seeing changes. It actually uses the word changed. So it's very possible that maybe some have higher expectations of some kind of big phenomena and are overlooking that it's just an awakening within, and it's progressive, and it's on what you see, within yourself.
What do you think, Captain, about the rainbow body?
Not really sure the rainbow body term. I haven't.
You're muted. Thank you.
Yeah. The rainbow body term, I haven't really researched it. I've heard people talk about it. I guess I would have to think it was where everybody thinks we're going on the ascension and where we're at the end, and whether it's a rainbow body or where we're at, I know we need to head there and we need to get there. What it is, I can't say for sure. I haven't experienced that portion through any of my spiritual experiences or dreams or anything like that. I do believe there's a lot, we have a lot more capabilities than we use now with just within our bodies and ourselves. And I believe that's just coming out now. And trying to figure out everything strictly logically tends to leave barriers, and that understanding that we all seek, I believe, comes into the research that I talk of, and because that research sparks experiences and sparks internal feelings and vibrations and things of that nature. And those are where you're going to get the answers. That's how you're going to get what you're seeking. So again, try not to get stuck in those loops, because that'll keep you from actually accomplishing what you seek, in my opinion.
I agree with that, because I think if you, that's what I was saying, I think we downplay what we're actually going through now, and what we've already went through in this past year and prior to that for many other people. If they're going to say we're not, the event's not happening yet, I would question that, because I think it's always happening.
That's true, because when I look at myself now, even a year ago, you know, very different, and I'd probably the version of me a year ago would look at me now and think I'm nuts. So
you
yeah,
ascended.
I definitely.
You ascended.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the process of ascension. Yeah, at least it was sparked, if nothing else. I mean, I don't know where it would be, but we all know it's different.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I would caution against the actual, just like me personally, of a, a big event, a big happening. I think people get a lot of letdown when that, their disappointment, that lets disappointment come in. I've throughout my life heard so many ascension dates that it's scary. That's when I come to realize we were ascending constantly. Like I said, some of those, I have to go back and look at some of those dates, and they were waves. And it's like, once you pass them and then look back, then I realized it in my experience anyway, that, oh, this did happen. This was a stage of ascension or rebirth in my personal life anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the something that just came to my mind as an analogy to maybe help some viewers understand how we have higher dimensional selves, so we still have our rainbow body, and you can access that through meditation and going visualization, as well as going further. You can do astral projection and out of body to access your rainbow body, so your non-physical body, that is, because your aura is rainbow colored, because each of the chakra points, the energetic nexus points down our central nervous system, there are nexus points, and those are where the aura chakra points are. But the chakras, each one's a different color, because it absorbs a different frequency of electromagnetic energy. So which portrays, so when people can see people's chakras consistently, they see the same order of colors, and it's just a hue. So that's our rainbow body, basically. It's lots of different colors. So when you bring yourself out of your physical body, you become your rainbow body. You leave this body behind, and you are that rainbow body. And we have lots of different layers. So we have a physical layer, we all know, and most of us realize we have a non-physical layer portion of ourselves, and most people will call that spirit or a ghost, or a etheric form or a rainbow body. But the rainbow body has lots of different layers, and the physical body has some different layers. So that's why you get different types of experiences. So you can, visualization is involving different layers than if you were remote viewing, and they involve different layers than if you were astrally projecting or if you were just doing out of body. So all of these involves a different layers or groups of layers. And when you actually project or you're out of body, you're literally disengaging your upper layers from your lower layers, which consist of your physical form, to actually travel independently. And many people can do this naturally, spontaneously, and other people take practice and trial and error to be able to figure out how to do it at will. And most of us do it when we're dreaming anyway. So that's currently where my understanding is, that how it all seems to work. But a way to kind of understand how you become higher selves, imagine you're playing a computer game and you're a character in a computer game, and this computer game is one of those that you can shut your computer off, but the game will be continuing. So I know years ago I used to play a Facebook game like that. So you can have it running, even when it was just constantly running, and even when you weren't in front of the computer. So if you think of you as being one of your higher selves in a higher dimension, but your character on the computer as being one of yourselves in a lower dimension, your lower dimension is completely unaware that you exist, and is unaware that you've gone to work or school while your lower dimension selves carrying on with their lives. So, but when you come back, you can then influence your lower dimension self, i.e. your computer character, and your computer character isn't aware that you're doing that. It's just got thoughts coming into its head. This is the analogy, or instructions from the keyboard in this analogy, which is giving it directions on what to do. So imagine a series of people playing computer games. You know, each person behind their computer is in a higher dimension to the one on the computer screen. So, for example, right, so I'm myself in 5D. I'm playing a computer game of myself, which is my version in 4D, who is playing another computer game with another version of themselves in 3D, and that's how it works. Michele was asked me to mention something I talked about earlier in Discord, which is about the Mandela Effect being like a spell. And I said that, to me, I think it is like a spell, in that once people become, it seems anyway, for many people, once they become consciously aware of the Mandela Effect, and then they think about it, they say it, or they type it, it literally triggers a shift into a high frequency for that person. And I've heard of people where this has been very rapid. Like as soon as they typed it in online, so they were consciously thinking about it, they saw their reality change in quick succession several times. And I think for some people I think for everybody it is like a spell. And there's a lot of stuff out there about how our language is a spell. In Genesis, it talks about God made reality with a word. That's because everything is vibrating, everything is frequency, so is sound, therefore so are words. So words do have power. And much of our language is built from earlier languages, which go back to what you might call a high language, which the words literally have more power. So now it's not like everything we say has power, like magical power, but some things do still have magical power or an influence. And I think it is like a spell. I really do. I'm not saying somebody created that spell and put it out there. I'm just saying the effect can be likened to the effect of a spell. Because after all, what is a spell? A spell is simply your thoughts affecting reality. You know, if you do a spell and you really believe that's going to work, then you are going to affect and bring that into being. And again, it's a bit like the learning styles. Different people with different levels of natural skill at this. So that doesn't mean if you do a money spell, it's definitely going to work for you no matter how much you believe. But if you have a natural gift and talent at spell casting, then your belief will bring it into being. Sorry, I've rambled on a bit. Has anyone got anything to say about that?
You know, definitely, you know, I find about, it comes down to loving each other.
I can't hear you, Captain. Sorry. Oh, I can now.
It comes down to loving each other is another big factor as far as human beings. A lot of differences that we tend to put between us and another person that we don't come to find and know, or just respect. There's a lot of respect is an issue also. There's a lot of the problems with the conflicts, and that all to me is magical. It has a certain vibration when we get angry, and our emotions put off those vibrations. And there's also some magic within that helps mold this construct. And I see, you know, you hear people talk about spelling and casting spells. It's all intertwined, and I think there's some truth to that. It's definitely synchronistic, and it tends to all connect in ways when you research it. So, like I said, there's a lot of information out there. I believe it's all within our face, and that's why I keep saying seek, because if you read between the lines, you definitely find that information. That'll help you in your spiritual experience, or if you know you're not very spiritual and you just want to look at it logically, it'll still take you to that end more, which we talk of in the group.
Yeah. Thanks. What about you, Michele, and Sup?
I think, yeah, it could be, you know, you could look at it as a spell, or the spell is being broken and people are becoming self-aware. So it could be looked at either way. Also, you know, a lot of things get a negative rap that really it's not a negative thing. So, you know, like they would say, you know, casting a spell in some religions, they would be like, oh my gosh, stay away from that. You know, you're dealing with the work of the devil or whatever. It's not, you kind of have to overcome that kind of thinking when, you know, because that Captain's exactly right. You know, in the book, or was it, Mel might have said it, that, you know, the word, it created the world. Well, you know, how can we be told, okay, do as I say, not as I do? But we're supposed to be, if you're a Christian, you're supposed to become Christ-like, and He is the Word. But then that's a spell. You see what I'm saying? The paradigm there. But back to the original question is, you know, it could be looked at either way. It could be looked at the spell is being broken, and people are becoming aware of who and what they are, or it could be looked at as a spell that is waking people up and they're realizing who and what they are. Either way, same outcome, beautiful results, and I'm happy with the direction that it is going. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's both. I think every layer kept in place with a spell or a series of spells. And sound creates these spells. And sound is consciousness. It's all the same stuff. So, because sound is just moving, is energy moving, as is consciousness. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a spell keeping people down. Sorry, Captain, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's our thoughts. Our thoughts is part of the mix in casting of the spells, if you will. And even in what we call our ascension in these different events, I think we're growing together, going through our different stages at different times in a way that we can handle it personally. Is definitely helping us in a way come to find that realization and be able to gain more once we become more disciplined within our mind and our thoughts. Just having a negative thought when you see somebody walk by or things of that nature. And sometimes you might find out it's not how you really feel inside. So, try, you try different things, like just a suggestion, if you see somebody and you have a negative thought, instantly just change it automatically to a positive thought in your mind. Just find something positive and change that comment around and see how that takes you. I know a lot of people that do message boards will get like a whiteboard or leave post-it notes. Today's going to be a good day, or I'm going to get a job today. Things in that nature help themselves manifest it, program their subconscious, and in those ways it's all magic. I don't believe it's really magic. I believe it's part of what our abilities here in this construct. We just either lost the abilities or need to find it. And it's going to be part of normal, normal life as we see it now. We just have to gain that, crawl before we walk and get what we got to do, manifest. And I believe even the manifestation is coming on more quicker because of these events. Our abilities to do that for some, if not all.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Thanks. What about you, Sup? You got anything to add?
I think words are creative. I think that they orchestrate, like string theory, everything's vibrating strings. If you talk to water, it'll either become beautiful or ugly crystals, depending on the vibration you put out. If somebody does bad things, but they tell you how great they are, a lot of people will think they're great. That's a true spell. I'll do evil things, but I'm doing great. I do it because I love you. That's a spell. But you can also, like, you write on your children's hearts who they are. Yes, words are powerful. It makes us see perception, and words can change things.
Yeah, absolutely. Politicians are very skilled at the spells you're talking about. It's great how they can say they're going to do something, and yet the effect of what they're doing is completely opposite to the label they put on it. Yes, we're going to do this to improve this, and instead it worsens it. And it amazes me that you think, so either these people are incredibly incompetent or they're incredibly clever. And I think it's probably the latter. And yet we just cannot comprehend anyone being like that. So we make excuses for them all the time. And then we just keep on playing that system. But anyway.
I also believe that the intention behind the words makes it more powerful, so to speak. The words does have, I think, just speaking something or just thinking of it has a power amongst itself. Maybe even saying something so many times, people that have, numerology and things of that nature, they have a certain amount of power backing behind it. I mean, for lack of better words, I wouldn't say power, but that's what people use and that's how people understand it. So I think it's just part of programming, if you will, programming the program, kind of self-programming. So if you want to look at it that way, but I believe it's still the same of a way of molding this construct.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely agree.
The president molding it. And, you know, I don't know. We talk about how the past or the future affects the past and the present. Maybe some of the Mandela effects, possibly, even just hypothetically, you know, just thinking, is part of people trying to change. You know, maybe it's trying to change some of the past, change the history, and maybe sometimes, maybe us, because we're connected, we change it, keep changing back, and maybe that's why it's flip-flopping. Maybe it's been happening all the time, we're just noticing it, but, you know, it could be a lot of different things, but it's happening and it's there, and I think that's what we need to understand. Once we know it's there, okay, we can't really come down to why it's happening right away. We just get as much information as we can and move on and see what else connects to that, and try to figure out that way, because eventually once we connect those dots, we'll have a better understanding of the Mandela effect itself by researching elsewhere and connecting the dots to the Mandela effect. And then maybe be able to open that, and then that box might open more and dig in and help other areas, you know, helping the areas help each other in the research, how I see.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, because there's been a lot of talk about it's the future affecting us, and we're affecting the future. It's a feedback loop. And, you know, there's talk about if you believe in aliens, then at least one species of grey alien is claimed to be us from the future as a potential timeline. And they're coming back to try to change that timeline. And there's a lot of information about what the crop circles mean, which definitely also seems to be alien groups trying to advise us and help us change our timeline so that the future is going to be a better, more positive one. I was watching a video today on Secureteam, his brilliant YouTube channel, and very recently another crop circle was made in the UK, and people filmed the crafts actually making it, and then went to visit it in the morning, and we're filming the actual crop circle. I mean, he's a great YouTube channel, so yeah, definitely subscribe to him. I think on YouTube it's called Secureteam 10. I'll put a link in the description. And one thing I was thinking as you were talking, Captain, is about this process of entrainment again, and connects it with politicians. A lot of people who are in the conspiracy field will poo-poo anything like New Agey. Oh, well, yes, universal love isn't going to change anything, isn't going to work. But it is, because science, we know entrainment works. Science knows our consciousness affects reality. They know this reality is made up of, it's a kind of artificially created reality that our consciousness together is creating. So if you bring all back to square, all what we know and what we're experiencing into this scenario where you've got a very small percentage of humanity that are entraining the majority to their emotional state and their spells, what they want, that's because the majority of humanity simply aren't aware it's occurring. They're in a raging current in a stream, and they don't really realise that's what's going on. They're being pulled along by the faster current, and they're not even aware of it. Once the majority become aware of what's going on and are able to modulate their frequency at will, or at least with better control, then inevitably, the way I look at it, the majority will then start training the minority elite to their way of thinking, to what they want, to their collective spell. And that's how we'll start changing it. That doesn't mean you can just ignore politics and not do anything, but you still need to be aware of it, and do all the normal 3D things. But, you know, you have to use your emotional state as well. You know, I believe. Anyway, sorry, Captain, go on. You wanted to say something.
You know, politicians are people too, and everybody in every aspect of life, work are people as well. They all have some sort of string attached to them. We all have money aspects that are attached to us as strings, and all those little strings are control factors because it can be used against an individual to influence a decision, whether it's taking your home, taking your car, taking whatever. You can be influenced with that, and behind that comes power. And some people abuse that power. There's a lot of politicians, I believe, that come up and mean well, but once they get into that environment, it's either adapt, conform, or get out. And a lot of times there might be money incentives into conforming. So it's, hey, I've already put all this effort and this time into doing this, but we might as well conform. They'd have to start a whole new area of education to find out their job in most cases. So, so that's an issue. I don't think it's the actual how the system is set up itself, but the integrity behind it, and the strings that are attached. You can see it down into in the workplace. It's people are scared to lose their jobs. People do jobs that they don't necessarily love to do. They do it because it makes good money and they want to live comfortably, but it's not something they love to do. So all those, I think, gradually need to be fixed, and we can do it once we come to that realization that everybody's brothers and sisters. In one way or another, and once we protect anybody out there, anybody else's brother or sister, and someone else will protect our brother or sister, mother or whatever, as their own, and we treat each other that way, and not as a lot of people might say, oh, lovey tree hugging. It's not that way. It's just respect. It could be definitely a masculine energy towards that. It's a respect thing, and you give it and you get it, and it's that simple. Respect how anyone wants to dress, respect how someone wants to have their hairstyle, respect how someone wants to speak, or how someone believes. Even if you don't believe something that someone else believes, you don't agree with it, agree to disagree, that's fine. Have a discussion, try to put yourself in their shoes, try to see if you could picture them in your shoes, and your perception and your perception of things and what you perceive, and leave it at that. If you don't agree, it's all about finding what resonates with each of us. So there's not necessarily need to be an argument over it. Who's right, who's wrong, or who did this, who did that, pointing fingers. That type of thing never gets us anywhere, and that's all part of that, I think, quote unquote spell that is put on us to keep us divided. A lot of little things keep us divided, and then there's some things that keep us united in little pockets. So, if they need us united for certain things, such as a backing behind a war, which has financial, backing behind it, that it's a profit. War is profitable. So, then you also have war being profitable, and you need something to keep the nations together. So you have something that happens that'll bring people together as a nation, no matter what their differences, and they'll all feel that same way and emotionally behind that event or that action that may or may not need to be taken. And how we all feel, say, as a nation, in one nation, any nation, as that is how they're able to proceed, and how much leeway they can take in that, and whatever the plans are. And so we have to start noticing those little tricks and those little plays with our minds, and we relinquish the power, whether it's we do it physically, we do it emotionally, and we do it within our subconscious. And in that, once they realize they have that, that's when they're able to use that against us. Now, who's actually at the top and pulling strings, or someone's pulling someone's strings. So, some people are happy they're getting their strings pulled, and they're happy to be able to just pull somebody else's strings. So they get their strings pulled to pull somebody else's strings, because they needed their strings pulled. So, but at the end of the day, they're getting their strings pulled too. And I'm sure if they really thought deep down inside, if they had a choice, they most likely wouldn't. That's just a guess. I've talked to a lot of different people. No one really seems to like it, but it's pretty much about what can they do. And so a lot of people just want to stay out the way, So, and it's not necessarily have to be any type of, rebellion, as in a rebellion as far as physical or war. I mean, once we come to that understanding mentally and start thinking for ourselves and deciphering these things ourselves, the revolution can be mentally and physically, and I mean, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. And that'll change, because they'll have no choice. They'll understand that we're, our wishes, we could shut it down. Just everybody not doing nothing for a day. We could just don't use electricity, go outside, play football, but don't buy anything. Just consumers and all that. Everybody just do that for one day. We could send a message. Getting everybody to do that is another thing, but that easily we could do that. We probably could do that for a couple hours. It probably cause a eye raise. So the stuff that can be done. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying there's other ways. Once we become aware, not just of the construct and how we manifest in it and we mold it, but on how we can do other things to create the heaven on earth that we speak of, and help ourselves to manifest this ascension we talk of.
Thank you. Thanks, Captain. So I think if we wrap this up soon, has anyone else got anything they'd like to add?
I just want to agree with them totally that, as people are waking up, to this event, they're looking to an event. Part of the event is waking up and realizing who and what we are, and taking responsibility for our part in the creation that is going on. And it is up to us, and it doesn't have to be beating war drums or anything of that nature at all. It has to do with opening your heart, loving one another, respecting each other, and this system will get pulled down, and it won't be by force. It'll be by us changing it, knowing that we have the ability, that we created it, we have the ability to change it. We can destroy it. What is it? Shiva, the one that is the destructive, and we can destroy it and recreate it in a blink of an eye. Because when we become aware of this, it's going to be a huge, change, a whole, talk about a shift. That will be one heck of a shift, and it will be amazing. So I am totally looking forward to that day coming about, and I agree with him. We could shut down businesses by just stop buying their goods and services. Just stop. If they do something that is against our rights, things like that, stop making the purchases. If they try to control with money at this point, well, we have the last buck on that. The bottom of the totem pole is the best place to be when you're, when your whole livelihood depends on what the public buys and consumes. So yeah, it is about waking up to the power that we have within us, and taking things back without violence. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to add, Magi and stuff?
I'd like to say you're much bigger than a human. We're much more than just humans. Enjoy the ride and be the change you want to see.
That should be a meme. Enjoy the ride and be the change you want to see. Definitely. What about you, Magi?
Yeah, I agree with Cap. I think I do think that all communication has the power of suggestion. If I asked you to see something that I see, just in this case, if I asked you to see something I see, and you're trying to see it from your point of assemblage, you're going to see a little bit of it if willingly you do. But until you go down in that assemblage, you're not really going to see it. And vice versa. Works both ways. So yes, I think what you said earlier on the hypnosis, even, that they've probably have people that's tapped into that. I can agree to that. And very well, you know, I think when TVs first came out, I think it was probably more powerful than the radio, and now this is even getting more and more powerful. They have a lot of power just through suggestion. I did want to say I experienced the actual, an individual in one of the Mandela Effects read something, and actually experienced it myself, and thought it said one thing, and then it was suggested that this is what was said, and reread it and seen it that way immediately. And it was an experience to watch, and not only witness myself do it, but when seen somebody else do it, it really threw me back in my chair. Yeah. So yes, I definitely think that, you know, and I believe that's why some people see, I think that's why we have the Mandela community. I think something, this is just my opinion, like I said, I'm not real big on dates, but I do think the 2012 date was very important. Almost every culture was pointing from ancient times to present. And I'd say, what, 2 or 3 years later, we started hearing about the Mandela Effect. So I think those that were spiritually triggered, no matter what culture they came from, even if it was science, started seeing things. Seeing changes and seeing, you know, the experience we're going through now. And I do think others will come on. I really do. I think everyone will come on.
Yeah.
There's 2 different dimensions. I think it might be they just don't want to see it. I've had people admit to me that way, but I can't really put time into that right now as an example. So I think when they move beyond that, yes, into a more spiritual activity, that it'll trigger, it'll activate and germinate it. Yes, and that's about it.
Thank you.
Beautiful show again.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for being here, all of you. Oh, go on.
Did I miss something about hypnosis? Did we touch on hypnosis?
I think you were relating that to meditation.
I know we talked about meditation. I was just listening to Magi, and he said hypnosis, so I thought, okay, I might have missed something that Captain said, and I don't want to miss, because he dropped.
No, we were just talking about basically suggestion earlier, when she said it was almost like a spell. That type of hypnosis.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, all right. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. As I've been sat here, then I've been just getting this, that I need to pick some tarot cards. I don't know if this will work, but this is what I've been getting in my head constantly. So what I've been talking, I'll pick some tarot cards, and this is for the community who are going to watch this. So I've got 2 decks that by the same artist. One is an oracle deck, one is a tarot deck. The oracle deck gives you a general feel about the area of interest that the cards are going to be pointing to, the energy of the reading. The oracle card, I don't know if you're going to see this one very clearly. Turn my lamp on, see if that helps. Anyway, this is the oracle card that says trust in magic. And so I'll just read what it says very briefly on that. Trust in magic. Magic is the mysterious and coincidental. It is at the heart of those moments of synchronicity and knowing. It is woven into the awareness that there is more to life than what you can see. It is born of that moment when you step without fear and with loving heart into the void, voice your desire, and have great spirit send his messengers to show you the way. Trust in magic. It is real and it surrounds you. And the 2 tarot cards that came out, the first one is this one, which is body and mind. And the second one is the 10 of the same suit. I think it's a fire suit. And so the first one was the body and mind. Sorry, air suit. And this says, okay, what is reality and what is imagined? What is fact and what is fiction? Can that which dwells within the mind have an effect on the body? And can the physical body affect the state of the mind? The 11 of air symbolizes a need to keep a healthy understanding of the relationship between mind and body, and the power each can have over the other. It symbolizes being able to differentiate between fact and opinion, and to make room for the imagination within our realities, while still embracing a little bit of reality within our imaginings. This may be a challenging card for some, because the eyes can only see what the mind is willing to conceive. So the more rigid the mind, the more difficult it is to accept how much influence and power the mind and body have over each other. If a mind is unwilling or limited, then understanding is difficult, and acceptance in some circumstances may be impossible. We all know someone who, no matter how many times they are offered facts, not opinions or theories, still cannot believe unless they witness it with their own eyes or experience it personally. And even then, they still might not believe it. They are complete skeptics. Then there are others who are open to everything and question nothing. They would believe you if you were to tell them that you did not see a blue sky above, but instead saw a pink one. Yes, there are actually people who see and perceive colours differently, but this person is so open-minded that they would not consider that a lie is offered. They would not question or even consider that you might be lying to them. They are just so trusting and willing to believe in the good of others that they accept everything offered, whether it be truth or deception. Their willingness to trust and follow blindly gets them into just as much strife as those who find it difficult to believe in anything beyond their own experiences. The 11 of air appears to remind us that somewhere in the middle of the two is a better way to be. Strive to be open-minded and questioning. Sometimes a little skepticism and discernment can serve to protect you from making foolish mistakes and following blindly as you are led off a cliff. On the other hand, believing only in facts and the reality that you experience with your physical senses can close you off to reaching your fullest potential. You may limit yourself and what you can accomplish because achieving goals and living your dreams requires a belief in something more than just the tangible. When the 11 of air appears in your cards, it also asks that you look at the impact your beliefs might be having upon your body and the impact your lifestyle and diet might be having on your mind. The mind can and does have amazing power over the body. Some Tibetan monks and Indian yogis have become so skilled at using meditation to manipulate their bodies that they can control blood pressure, body temperature, heart rate, and more. People with multiple personality disorders have been known to have personalities that have completely different health status. Physically needs glasses in order to see properly, and another that does not. There are some with personalities that exhibit a range of physical health issues, such as high blood pressure and diabetes, but other personalities that have no health issues at all. And these differences have been witnessed, recorded, and studied by both medical practitioners and scientists alike. It is a fact that the mind can alter the body. How is your mind affecting your body? In the same way the mind can alter the body can also alter the mind. Research now shows that if a body is unhealthy, for example, there are issues within the gut such as GERD, Candida, irritable bowel syndrome, and Crohn's disease. The mind too can be affected. Imbalances within the gut can lead to depression, anxiety, irritability, hyperactivity, an inability to focus or concentrate, and memory lapses. Pain and inflammation can also have similar effects upon the mind, especially if they impact on the ability to sleep. How is your body affecting your mind? It is important to understand that what you believe in your mind can have an impact on your body, and what you do to your body can have an impact on your mind. Just like the Indian yogis and Tibetan monks, you have it within you to have so much more control than you might believe. And sometimes the biggest changes can be made just by learning to see a positive lesson within a negative experience, or telling yourself that you can and will instead of you can't and should not. You can do almost anything you set your mind and body to doing. The 11 of air also addresses the subject of fact and opinion and discerning between the two. We all have opinions, and those opinions may be valid if based on knowledge and personal experience, but opinion and fact are not the same thing. A fact is something that has been proven to be true, and that truth is based in certainty and constancy. It is a fact that night follows day. It is a fact that we live on a planet that is made up of oceans and land masses. It is a fact that rain falls from the sky. It is a fact that rainbows are created when light shines through water particles. A fact is something that cannot be disputed. An opinion can be disputed. For example, it is an opinion that all dogs have fleas. A dog owner might have had many dogs, and all of those dogs may have had fleas. But this does not make the statement that all dogs have fleas factual. It is his opinion based on his personal experience. The fact is that not all dogs have fleas. Some do and others do not. The 11 of air asks you to be wise to the difference. When offering information to others, be sure that what you offer is fact. Be clear when you're offering opinions based on your personal experiences, because what might be truth to you might not be true for someone else. Don't get caught up in a game of I am right and you are wrong when you are basing your arguments on opinion. Facts are certainties, while opinions might be true for the individual, but can be subject to dispute when looked at from the perspective of another. A wee note should also be made of the difference between something that has been proven to be fact and something that is theoretical. A theory, a group of ideas or concepts, might well have been studied and researched to a great extent, but it must always be remembered that theories are based upon conjecture, speculation, and assumption. Until such time as a theory can be proven to be factual, it is only a guess. We can theorize all that we want, but we should be careful not to offer theory and conjecture as fact. Our minds, our imaginations are amazing creative tools. With our minds and imaginations, we have the ability to shape our reality and to create our reality, but that reality is also shaped by absolutes. The 11 of air asks us not to become so lost in our imaginings that we forget reality. Instead, we do best to remember that there needs to be a productive harmony and acceptance of both. We can literally change our minds, and in doing so alter our physical state, but we do so within a physical reality that is full of certainties that we have no control over. We can only control ourselves and our perception of the world. When you differentiate between what is factual about your own mind and self and what is simply theory or opinion-based belief, you can change what is within both, so that your mind and body are one and not working against each other. You can see that a true fact is a fact and rarely changes, while opinions change all the time, irrespective of the facts, and can exist side by side with contradictory truths, because they are often based on our perception and understanding as opposed to reality. Like the other 11 cards, the 11 of air is a balancing and realignment card. If it appears within your reading, it does so in order for you to determine if there is an imbalance at play and suggests that you meditate upon the subject. And then the 10 of air, which is shorter, The process of individuation leads to becoming oneself, to stepping away from the external forces that we believe define us, to becoming an independent being who recognizes and embraces their own uniqueness and individuality. It is about removing the mask we present to the public so that we are liked and respected and accepted, the face we wear so we fit in and belong. No longer are our public face and private life very different. We present our face to the world, and if it's not liked, then so be it. If it makes us a black sheep in a flock of white sheep, then so be it. We would rather be honest and accepted by the few than to be what family or society expects. Individuation is being who we are meant to be, as opposed to being the person society tells us we should be. It is breaking free from caring about what people think of us, because we love who we are and what we do with our life. We are free, liberated, because we are not bound by others' opinions of us or our actions, the constraints of society, or the impediments of our past. It is integrating conscious and unconscious, soul and shadow, the masculine and the feminine, and creating a whole where the self resides at the center. No longer does duality separate and divide. All is in harmony and working in unison. You are you, whole, complete, and ever evolving. And that evolution is not a linear process. It is a circumambulatory process of viewing the self and seeing it from multiple perspectives, and accepting and integrating all of the facets and aspects into the whole. No aspect is ugly or beautiful, none good or bad, none better or worse. Each has its place and purpose as part of the beautiful whole. To individuate is to understand paradox and accept that you are one. You are human. To be a whole and complete human is to be paradoxical. To individuate is to see and know your potential and to step forward into the unknown and meet it. You are willing to step away from all that you were so that you may become all that you choose to be. In this process, your perception is altered forever. You are forever transformed. No more are you willing to embrace old paradigms that limit and restrict, that espouse a belief that says you should not or cannot. You move forward into the great mystery with confidence, knowing that even when life offers conflict and chaos, when we remain at the center, we have peace. When the Ten of Air appears in your reading, it represents a time in our life after we have chosen to step free of the mask, and we're only one face in private and public. No longer do we hide our thoughts, beliefs, or feelings in order to be accepted, liked, or respected. We have turned our back on expectation, on convention, on mediocrity and normacy, to embrace and accept who we are and stand tall and proud. It is time to separate yourself from the herd and to walk your own path. Step through the doorway and begin a life where new paradigms replace the old, and you are free to be the best that you can be, instead of the you society tells you that you must be. So I hope that's helpful to people who watch this and are watching this. And on that note, I'm going to say good night and thank you everyone for coming and all the viewers. Just a reminder before everyone says their goodbyes, please like, share and subscribe to this video and the other channels, and check the description for links to the other panelists' channels. And do you want to say good night, guys? We'll end it.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Mel. Excellent show.
You're welcome. I'm glad you could come.
Good night. Thank you. Awesome as usual. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Sab, and thank you for coming on.
Definitely good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and good night.
Good night, Captain. And thanks, Michele, for sharing the links and etc. Okay.